Yeah, I know he was talking about
Awesome.
good money and Bitcoin.
Awesome. Can you let me share my screen? I'm going to share my screen for my presentation.
Okay.
All right. You'll be on very soon. Okay, can you share now?
All right, let's see. Yes, I'm able to share. Let's see what you can see though. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome, good stuff. Ready when you are? Ready to go?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, good stuff. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about the Lightning Network. I'm really excited, really stoked to be here and spread the word about Lightning. Before I start, I wanted to give a big shout out to Apata. Big thank you for organizing this. This is not just the first conference in Lagos, it's also his first time organizing it. And I think this is mad respect. So I want to give a good round of applause to Apata. Thank you, Apata. Thank you so much for organizing this. Yeah, you kill it, man. You kill it. All right, moving on. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the Lightning Network, of course. And the way I like to approach any new topic is kind of going over these three different questions. So first of all, what is the Lightning Network, right? Like, what does it do? Then we're going to talk about why is it needed? Why does Bitcoin need it? And why does the world need it? And in third, we're going to talk about how does it work. So I'm going to give a short technical overview of it, high level. I won't go into details. You can ask more questions if you want. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with looking at a few wallets and looking at how we can use it. And I'll give away some stats so we can play around with it. So first of all, a little bit about me. So my name is Stellios Ramos. I'm originally from Greece. I'm the co-founder of Geyser, which is a crowdfunding platform built on Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. I'm currently pursuing my master in computer science at the University of Amsterdam. And I've been building Lightning applications for about 4 years now, going on to the 5th year. I previously developed a Spark to give away Satoshis, automate giveaway Satoshis on Twitter. And talking about Twitter, you can find me at Stellios Sats. You can find Geyser at geyser.fund. Feel free to reach out to any of those two accounts if you have any questions.
Right, no problem.
All right, so what is the Lightning Network? Let's start off with a little definition of it. So it's a payment network, which allows anyone, anywhere in the world to send Bitcoin at any time, instantly, and at nearly no cost. So you can see I've highlighted a few words here, and those are the words that, in my mind, are really important about Bitcoin and about the Lightning Network. So first of all, it allows anyone, right? So independent of race, independent of religion, independent of your political orientation, none of that matters. Anyone can use it. We call that permissionless. You do not need permission to use this network. You can use it from anywhere in the world, right? It doesn't matter if you are in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm talking to you guys from Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. You could be from anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. You can do it at any time. There's no opening time. There's no closing time. There's no shop you have to go to. There's no authorization. So you can do it at any time. And if I send you some Satoshis, they will get to you instantly through the Lightning Network, and it will cost you nearly nothing. So this is all super exciting, and I hope it's exciting for you as well. So why is the Lightning Network needed, right? Like, first of all, why does Bitcoin need it? And here I want to take a step back and let's look at something I'm sure Parman talked about as well in his presentation a lot, which are, what are the properties of good money? What makes good money? And I'll start with the first and probably most important at this point, which is it has to be a good store of value. When you guys are working, you're creating value, you want to store this value into something that is durable, something that can last. And right now in the world, as I'm sure you know better than anyone, inflation is all over the place. Double-digit inflation, there's over 1 billion people that suffer from it. So it's a huge problem. And Bitcoin solves this, right? Bitcoin is a good store of value. Bitcoin is finite. There's 21 million and there will never be any more than that. And you can safely store your value in it. It is volatile, it is very volatile, but at least you know that it will not get inflated away. So the second property is that it needs to be a good unit of account. And what do we mean by a good unit of account? Well, we mean that every good and service can be priced in Bitcoin accurately. And Bitcoin also solves that. So one Bitcoin can be divided up to 8 decimals, so 100 million times. And we call that smallest unit the Satoshi. So you'll hear me talk about Satoshis a couple more times during the presentation. Just know that a Satoshi is still a Bitcoin. It is just a small portion of a Bitcoin.
Okay.
And finally, we get to the third property, and that is the medium of exchange. So it has to be a money that is easy to transfer. It should be easy for me to send you some, for you to send some to the shop owner, to the business owner. It should be something that is easy to use. And Bitcoin does that already. It does that well at the base layer. So what we call on the blockchain, right? It does that well already because you can send it anywhere. You can send it to anyone, the same things as I mentioned before. It's censorship resistant, so no one can stop it. No one can control it, no company, no government. It's unstoppable. But that comes with a bit of a cost. And that cost comes in the form of a fee that you have to pay to the network. And it comes as a cost in terms of time. So Bitcoin transactions are very secure. They're very secure. And that comes from the network, but they can be a little bit slower. And we'll see that in a moment. So all of this now, it kind of gives you an overview of why Lightning is needed in Bitcoin. But this is a technical solution to a technical problem. And I think we have to look at the bigger picture here and see why is the Lightning actually needed, right? Beyond Bitcoin or in complement to Bitcoin. And the answer there is without this medium of exchange property, Bitcoin would be less accessible to people. And that's what we all want to achieve in this community. We want Bitcoin to be accessible to everyone. And to give you a good example, I think a concrete example of this, I want to go back to the origins of this conference. So a couple months back, Mick, the co-founder of Geyser, the other co-founder, and myself, we got in touch with Apata, and Apata was sharing his vision, beautiful vision. He wanted to bring education, financial education, and Bitcoin education to you, right, to Lagos. And we loved it, right? We never met. We met for the first time online. We never met, but he had this beautiful vision. And the reason we even built Geyser is so that people like Apata can get their project, can get their idea, and do something concrete out of that. And so we put up Apata's project on Geyser, and we raised funds for it. He received funds from over 100 people from all over the world, from the US, from Europe. A lot of them were anonymous, so we don't even know how many countries we actually got donations from. But we do know that one guy sent Apata around $15 because we talked to him. And he sent Apata about $15 from Suriname, all the way from South America. Now, I'm mentioning this because this is something that would not have been possible in any way using USDs, using the Naira, using any other currency. It was possible because we used Bitcoin and because we used the Lightning Network. And this opens up the door to all sorts of contributions, all sorts of communications between people that could not exchange value before. And Apata was providing value and received value from all over the world. And that is really why this medium of exchange, and in particular Lightning, can help get to this vision. All right, so now moving to the third part, which is how does all this work? And I'm going to start with Bitcoin payments. Bitcoin payments on chain without Lightning the classic way it would sort of happen. So we'll start off with probably two of the most popular fictional characters in computer science, which is Alice and Bob, right? So let's say that Alice wants to send Bob 100,000 Satoshis. So I mentioned Satoshis before, smallest unit of a Bitcoin. She wants to send him 100,000 Satoshis. So the way this will work is that Alice, or rather Alice's wallet, her Bitcoin wallet, will make the transaction and broadcast it to the network. Now the network will take this transaction and propagate it so that it can reach the entire network. And notice how one of the nodes on this network is colored orange, and it's called the miner. There's several miners in that network. I've only drawn ones here for the example, but there's many of them. And what miners do is that they take the transaction alongside around 2,000 to 3,000 other transactions for each block that gets confirmed and added to the blockchain, and they validate the transaction. So they check that that transaction is valid based on the history of older transactions. So he does that, he validates it. Many miners try to validate it, but let's say this miner is the first one to validate it. And then he will put it in a block and send it back to the network. So we can call that block propagation. He sends the correct block to the entire network, and eventually it reaches back to Alice, it reaches back to Bob, and they both have a record of the entire blockchain in this case, and so they know that the transaction was successful. Now, on average, this process takes about 10 minutes. So every new block and every new transaction that gets confirmed is on average 10 minutes long. So we'll label this TX1, transaction number 1, and we write it off like it's written on the chain, on the blockchain. Now let's say Alice does a second transaction a bit later on, and this time she sends 50,000 Satoshis, that's transaction 2. Same process again. Transaction is broadcasted to the network. The network propagates it to the entire Bitcoin network. The transaction is validated by the miner. The block is sent back to the network. Again, same process as before. Now let's do a couple more. So Alice sends again 50,000 Satoshis. Now Bob sends to Alice 100,000, Alice to Bob, Bob to Alice. You get the gist of it. And so all these transactions, assuming they happen a little spaced out between each other, they all took on average around 10 minutes to confirm, and there was a fee involved for each transaction. Now, we can do better than that, and Lightning can do better than that. And I want you to remember that Lightning is still Bitcoin. It is still Bitcoin that we're sending on the Lightning Network. It is just a second layer. So let's go back to Alice and Bob, this time on the Lightning. So this time, instead of making a normal transaction like we did before, they initiate, so they start a channel. They start what we call a payment channel. And they both lock within the channel 500,000 Satoshis. This transaction will be written on the blockchain, same as before, miner validates, same process. But this time, this funding transaction has created a payment channel between Alice and Bob. And so if Alice wants to send Bob 100,000 Satoshis, that will go through the payment channel. And remember, we started with 500,000 Satoshis for Alice and 500,000 for Bob. Well, now we update the balances on the channel. So now Alice has 400,000, Bob has 600,000. We sent 100,000 across. We'll do that a couple more times again. So Alice sends to Bob, again to Bob, Bob to Alice. Notice how every time we're updating the balances on each side of the channel. We do that one more time. And finally, after some time, they decide, well, we're going to close the channel. We we're done transacting with each other, and we take this final balance, which was 350,000 for Alice, 650,000 for Bob, and we write that final balance on chain. That is transaction 7, and it's called the closing transaction. What's the big difference here? Well, the big difference is that we only wrote 2 transactions on chain. Before we wrote 6. Now we wrote 2 transactions on chain to open the channel and then to close the channel. And all the transactions that happened in between, they were all only between Alice and Bob. They did not involve the network, and they were instant and feeless. And that is what a Lightning channel can do. So that's great, right? We have Lightning payments, we have Lightning channels, but we still have only 2 people. We only have Alice and Bob. And I've told you before, we are going to use the Lightning network, and a network has to have more than 2 people. So how does it work when we have a third person? Still a small network, but more than 2 people. So we add Carol here. Same initial configuration. Alice has 500,000 sats on one side of the channel. Bob has 500,000 sat on his side of the channel. And then there's a second channel with Carol. But Alice is not directly connected to Carol, right? So now how does Alice send 100,000 Satoshis to Carol? Well, it's not that hard. So Alice will send 100,000 Satoshis to Bob. They will update their channel, and then Bob will forward that payment and send 100,000 Satoshis to Carol. And now notice that the final balances has Alice with 100,000 Satoshis less, Carol with 100,000 Satoshis more, and Bob still has the 1 million Satoshis that he had before, with the only difference that the 100,000 Satoshis have moved from one of his channels to another one. But still, the process is the same. And now here, I'll put a little asterisk and I'll say, there's a lot more involved in this process. There's a lot more technical depth that we can get into. So I'm simplifying it a lot here. And if any of you has any interest to go dive deeper into that, I'm happy to answer any of those at the end of the session. And a very legitimate question here could be, for example, what prevents Bob from taking the 100,000 sats that came from Alice and never sending them to Carol? And that would be a very good question. And I can tell you there's mechanisms in place in the protocol to make sure that doesn't happen. So the protocol is still secure. The protocol has still thought about these things. I'm just not including it in this slide. So still 3 nodes. It's not a lot of nodes. And the real network has a lot more nodes. And this is showing the distribution of the public nodes. Some are private, some are anonymous, and they don't show on this map. But the public nodes are, as of yesterday, around 18,410 nodes with 82,000 channels between each other all over the world. Now, something's wrong with this map. Can you see what's wrong with this map? Well, you're there. We need more nodes there. We need more people using it. We need to distribute this knowledge, right? We need more people. So how do we get you to try it out? Do we get you to use it? This is the last section here. We're talking about Bitcoin Lightning wallets. Bitcoin Lightning wallets, here's an example. We have Wallet of Satoshi. It's a very good wallet, very easy to use, very simple to use, and that's the reason I'm showing it up here. And now I want you to kind of get involved here, because if you get out your phone and download Wallet of Satoshi on your phone, you can scan this QR code that I have here on the slide, and you can claim 500 Satoshis, right? So I will leave this QR code here. I will keep going through the slides. Take your time. I'll leave it in the questions after as well, and you can go ahead and claim those Satoshis. So Wallet of Satoshi is not the only wallet that is available. Another one is Blue Wallet. Really recommend that one too. And then we move into some slightly harder to use, and I'll explain what harder to use means in this context. So beginner friendly, it's Wallet of Satoshi, it's Blue Wallet. Then we have Breeze and Moon. And I can feel everyone's getting distracted by the QR code, but that's good, that's good. Scan it and claim those sats, guys, all yours. So we have Breeze and Moon. And Breeze and Moon, they're slightly harder to use in the sense that they're a bit more costly. So you might have heard from Parman's presentation, what is the difference between custodial and non-custodial? But I'll just repeat it here in case those terms might not sound familiar. So custodial means someone else holds the funds for you. Non-custodial means that you hold your own funds. And when we move from the beginner to the advanced here, we're essentially going from custodial to non-custodial. So Wallet of Satoshi and Blue Wallet, their Lightning wallet is custodial. So you trust them to hold the funds for you. You trust them that they're doing a good job. And that's fine, right? That is fine as long as it's small amounts, you're just discovering how it works. And that's perfect to get introduced. Then you want to get a little bit more control over your funds. And so you can go over to Breeze and Moon. These are non-custodial. So these let you control your own funds. The difference here is that they run the Bitcoin and Lightning node for you, and they take care of all these payment channels and all that stuff I presented before. All of that stuff is taken care by the wallet. So you pay a small cost for that, which is usually when you make a first deposit on the wallet, you will pay a small configuration fee for them to get all that set up for you. And then we go to the third category, that is the advanced wallet. And the reason I say advanced is because it's probably the one that requires a bit more knowledge, because it requires you to run your own Bitcoin and Lightning node. And then if you do, you can run that on your computer, you can run that on a dedicated hardware, a dedicated software, server. And once you have it, you can connect your Zeus wallet to it. So these are sort of the three categories of wallets. Feel free to refer back to them. I'll see if I can share those slides with Apara afterwards. So I want to close this off by saying that learning about Bitcoin and about Lightning, it's certainly a journey. This is something that it's a journey that I've been down for about 5 to 6 years. It's a long journey. Embrace it. Some things are hard. Some things are difficult to understand. Some things are easier to understand. Just get started with it, right? Start using it. Start talking about it. Spread the word. And if you embrace it, if you do the hard work, you will enjoy the freedom that it grants you. You will enjoy the control that it gives you over your finance. So that's it. That's my presentation. Again, the QR code is there. Take your time, scan it, claim those Satoshis and play around with it. And I'm happy to hear any questions that you guys have.
Okay, is there any question? Do you have any question?
Well, we're coming, we're still scanning.
Do you have any question?
It can be a bit hard it can be a little bit hard for me to hear it. You can also type it in the chat and then I'll be able to take a look. But any question, guys?
Yeah, we're coming.
Okay, if we have any question, is there a way we can get you on Twitter or any of your social media?
Sure. Of course. Okay. So I will go back to the beginning here. So you can find me on @StellioSats, StellioSats on Twitter. I also encourage you to check out Geyser Fund. So this is where Apara raised fund for the conference, and we want to hear about any projects that you guys have, right? If you have any projects, anything that, right? Who knows? I really hope that Apara is doing a second conference next year, or even earlier than that. Just get more people involved, get more people to learn about Bitcoin, and I'd love to present again. But that's really where you can reach me.
Okay. Of course, Akwata has done a good job, and we're really interested in it. We would like to join him, and hopefully we'll get a conference maybe this year or next year, a bigger one than this. We'll spread the word, and
yes, of course, let's grow it to the entire Lagos and the entire of Nigeria.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, and really reach out. I'm really open to any questions. I love talking about this. So you have my contacts.
All right, no problem. I just followed you on Twitter. I'll message you. I'll drop a message. And
thank you so much.
Okay, if you have no problem. I will just text you on Twitter.
Sounds good. Any other question before I drop off?
Stellios, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, this lightning, it takes time to understand it.
Of course, yes.
So,
yeah.
I think we'll shoot you a DM. Any question they need, we'll shoot you a DM that you can answer us.
Yeah, and guys, check out any of these wallets again. Like you,
okay,
probably a few sats left, so I'll leave this here. But yeah, thanks so much, Apara.
Wait, Stellios, they still want to scan.
All right, go ahead.
About the blue wallets now.
Somebody's asking about the blue wallet.
Yes, blue wallets. What about it? You can download that as well on the App Store.
Is it different from the wallet of Satoshi?
It is a little different, and wallet of Satoshi is only for Lightning. Blue
Okay.
Wallet also has on-chain, so it can do both on-chain and on Lightning.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
So you guys see, like, I'm in Amsterdam right now. You guys are in Lagos, and you're scanning this QR code. This is, every time you scan it, you get 500 Satoshis that just zip to you, right? They just zip to you. They go there borderless.
We can do this all day.
There is a limit. So you guys are gonna run out at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Satoshis are hard to come across. This is my gift to you guys. This is to thank you for the conference, and I will drop off. Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I don't see 4,000.